Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Tiffany Notebook, the soft version. I'm gonna go very quiet this week. This is gonna be my style for this week. It's called the ASMR version. Let's continue. Don't fall asleep. Last week we went through the idea of the pitch video and IMC plan. I realized that we didn't really push our creativity on the big idea. So the big idea isn't just the key message that we need to put on our product. It's more about how this message is distributed and what message it is. It needs to be a creative message that will leave a strong emotional impression for our audience. So instead of just saying, this is delicious, this isn't a big idea. The big idea is more like how this is delicious, how delicious it is, and how are we gonna let our audience know how delicious this is. We need to a whole new creative idea on how are we gonna describe this is delicious. Last week's discussion did really help me on the understanding of the big idea and how are we gonna improve on our IMC plan. We also mentioned print media in last week's video. I wasn't surprised when I see that 58.1% in today's marketing, in today's advertising is internet-based. I want to talk about the magazine. I didn't realize that the advertising on magazine has shrunk that much because in my mind that magazine and the digital magazine, they're all called magazine. So when I realized that the magazine has transformed to the digital magazines, it now became an internet advertising category and is now officially the digital marketing. And that is interesting because as we know all the methods for digital marketing, which we can track the customers' retention rate, customers' click rate, customers' impression, these are the very important tools in terms of digital marketing. And with the digital magazines, we can also achieve these research objectives with these tools. So I think this is very interesting to know. And also I think magazine, no matter the digital magazine or the magazine, they're not going to decrease their overall advertising percent because magazines still focusing on some specific industry, some specific market. They're more high knowledge or highly focused in some certain area. So for people who are in certain area, they do still subscribe to their magazines, and magazine advertising is very important to targeting some niche market. So back into the internship job that I had, I was worked in a mineral industry, mining industry, and definitely we were flipping through some mining industries magazines, more like and mining industry news, and those subscriptions were very specific to our industry, and advertising on those medias were very more like B2B advertising. That also was a very important part of the magazine advertising. And for the newspapers, people are reading less newspapers these days, aren't they? I think newspapers still focusing on a very mass population, more a localized mass population, because for some national events, people tend to go on some digital platforms such as digital CBC News or Global News or the Twitter trends. So newspapers are, I think they have gradually been more localized to the local population. I think some local areas such as local store discount, some real estate and some renting or higher information, they're still on the newspaper. And people would go on to newspaper, and the advertising on newspaper are focusing on the local businesses. For some national newspapers, I believe the part of newspapers has also transformed to the digital platform. So for some more national newspapers with their digital formats, they would have contributed to the digital marketing, digital advertising tools. I wasn't surprised when I saw that TV and radio still has these large margins these days because I was surprised last week, so I'm no longer surprised. I think out-of-home advertising is also a more localized advertising tool focusing on something that when we see it, we're able to get it. Something like this, such as I remembered I saw the advertising of a new product from Subway. I saw the new product of Subway. I got it. I got it from the mall. It was that simple. Because if I saw a new product of, let's say, Zara, if I didn't have a Zara at our nearest mall, how on earth would I get the new product of Zara just because I saw it like 5 minutes ago? That would never happen to me. Or I can go online, but that would be less powerful for me to do that online. Speaking of out-of-home advertising, I was very surprised by a classmate last week during the class. She mentioned that the digital out-of-home advertising we see is actually connected to our IP address. It's connected to our location of our digital mobile, and then they can use this data to continuing push the message to us. I think this is very against my privacy, but I can see how effective this kind of advertising is. So this also brings me the idea that how large these advertising agencies are. They're able to use all this big data to track each individual and how much money it's going to cost. When I saw the two terms of circulation and readership for the print medias, I immediately thought of the cost per 1,000 impressions and the cost per click. I think they share a similar idea. In digital, the impressions, like how many times this ad has been seen, and for circulation, it's like how many individuals who have received this publication. So they could have seen it, they had the channel to access it, but the readership is exactly how many times the publication is read. It's like the effective readership is the effective action that has been taken from the audience. So they have actually read this ad. And I think the magazine, the readership percentage for the print media is very difficult to calculate. I'm not sure how could they calculate that, because for the digital marketing, we have everything digitalized. We have them programmed, so it will be easy to track all these clicks and conversions, etc. But for the readership percentage, I think it is very difficult to track, and I think the marketing department of the publication, they have to really look into it. And I think this is also how the print media is losing their leadership position in the advertising, because their advertising is difficult to calculate. It's difficult to measure how effective their advertising is. For the digital advertising, since everything's programmed and we can see these data, we can see these graphs, these trends exactly on the Google Analytics or Meta-Analytic, it's easy to track how effective this ad is. But for the print media, it will be more difficult to do either A/B group or A/B testing. Speaking into more the creativity side of advertising, the images of a print ad, I realized that the most powerful element of a print ad is still the emotional impact, because the emotional impact does leave a very strong image in the audience's mind. The picture of this little boy and the cute animals, they all cause a very strong emotional appeal. And I think next time when I want to create a print ad like this, I do want to really use the emotional appeals and see how can I practice these elements in my ad. When we look at the billboard ad, this example of the burger fresh, I realized that for a billboard ad, it is very a just quick set of this ad. When we're driving on highway or etc., we don't have time to really read the ad in details. We rely on this first impression, and that's it. Maybe just 2 seconds or 5 seconds. And we aren't really focusing on the ad. I mean, we're focusing on the traffic. So the point of a billboard ad is really to leave a powerful image and a powerful single message that will leave a good impression for the drivers. And this is a reminder of how to really design a billboard ad, and also the other print ad is that we need one most important, just one element and one message that will leave a impression. Sometimes more isn't best. What is important is the quality, not the quantity. Overall, last week I had a more in-depth understanding of the big idea. I learned the importance of the print medias and their effectiveness, and I also learned more on how to really develop a strong image ad. Overall, thank you for watching this week's video and have a good one.